Welcome back from the break. This is Family Hour. We are looking at the role of tax professionals. Of course, we have very many, Ugandans. Ugandans are so creative. So you have very many people who masquerade out there that are tax advisors, and sometimes they cheat us or they do for us shoddy work that later lands us into a lot of issues. But here we are to know what exactly should a tax professional offer or a tax advisor. In case you're looking for one, what are your expectations from one? Before the break, there is something that you talked about that some of us look at tax advisors at a level of filing returns, and that's the only time we look for them. But I mean, institutions or organizations or companies have lawyers, that this is our lawyer as a company. Should it be the same case with a business, that for us as this particular business or company, this is our tax advisor, and they accounted for all the time?
Thank you. I think that is a very pertinent question, but you would want to first ask yourself, why, for example, should a company hire a lawyer full-time or hire a firm to give these services full-time? Because they are anticipating things to go bad.
Yes.
Because they feel they need to be guided all through. Now, if we appreciate that tax takes sometimes up to 45% of your profit, then I cannot understand how an established company can survive without a tax consultant on board. Because as I said, in tax planning, we look at business transactions in advance. You want to buy this, but what will be the tax implication? For example, I've had cases where people transact, let's say you sell land, and this land you are meant to withhold 6%. Then now the buyer was meant to withhold 6%. But the buyer just pays everything and it is done. Then after some time, because the land transactions go through the ministry and there is stamp duty payment, you are finally land with this transaction. But they know that the one who is paying is meant to withhold 6%. So the question is, have you done this? No. URA gives you an assessment. So you can just see that one transaction like this, you would have saved so much by engaging a tax expert. Because this tax expert would have said, currently you cannot just pay, but you have to withhold a 6%. So why URA assesses you is that you have failed on your role. So this is something that is avoidable if you use a tax expert. We have seen things of, for example, pay as you earn. You pay your staff, you are not declaring.
Yeah.
URA comes in after some time, they assess you. They can assess you, or they disallow the expense called salaries. So that internally, as long as we have this expert, all the time, the expert is telling you, here, don't make this mistake, it is costly. Here, this is the treatment for tax purposes. If you treat it the other way, just know it will cost you so much. So, in summary, I say that everyone who is in business, you may not necessarily hire an expert from January to December, but at least make sure you have someone you can always consult about tax matters. Tax matters, they are not for everyone. You use a good word that there are many people masquerading around, but it's not that everyone who says I'm a tax agent is actually a tax agent.
Or everyone who speaks the language, because they have listened to a few terms in taxation, and then they can use those terms.
Can confuse,
yeah.
They can confuse our people, because just a few words one can say, yes, this person is a tax. But now that URA has these people on the portal, the firms on the portal, then we need to use the right people if we are really to manage the tax issues. Yes.
There is also something you talked about. One of the other things that are expected of a tax professional is to help you in tax planning. And you actually exhaustively talked about tax planning. But what else can someone look out for in a tax professional? That, okay, if I have a tax advisor here that I'm leaning on, besides returns, at least they can help me out in this and this.
Okay, I need to possibly summarize them because, as I said, having a tax expert on your team or as part of your advisors will help you manage your tax affairs. When I talk about managing tax affairs, it is a whole journey of compliance. That now this tax expert will move with you from point A to point B to point C. He will ensure, have you registered for all taxes you are meant to register for on time? That is one. Because the moment you don't register on time, then there are penalties attached.
So they'll always remind you.
Remind you, but also implement. He advises, if you say, okay, let's go on, then he makes sure that you actually register. That's one. Two, he's meant to help you, keep you like on your toes. Have you paid? Have you paid on time? Because by you paying on time, you are saving on penalties, you are saving on interest. Now, interest are a cost. That why should you pay an interest? You know you have deducted pay as you earn from your staff. Pay it on time. Plan for it that by 15th, I should also be paying as I pay my people. You get the point?
Yes.
Also, when it comes to filing returns, a tax expert will know which return is needed when. We have monthly returns, we have periodical returns. There are those which are in June, there are those which are in December. So this person, because this person is doing, this is his core. That you, instead of minding so much about URA, for you mind about the business. Your core, you are an entrepreneur, you are a businessman, you are not a tax man. So for you focus on, can I make as much money as possible? Then the experts will help you manage this money. That since the taxpayer has made his money, plan very well. That this money is for you, this money is for your staff, this money is for. But as I said, the tax practitioner, the tax expert should also help you to ensure that your bookkeeping is in a good form. Because with improper bookkeeping, then you cannot manage tax. But because he comes and does his checks, you say, no, here there is a problem. So he identifies a problem prior. Otherwise, when you wait for URA to first come and they do an audit and they identify these problems, then you will always be penalized.
So does it mean that my tax advisor will always help me out in auditing out some of these things before URA comes?
You see, what normally happens is that we, as taxpayers, we are not transparent enough. Yes, we lack transparency. But going to having a tax expert is like going to a doctor. You must explain the history of your whatever you are suffering from.
Yes.
And it is after explaining properly that now the doctor will say, hey, here I will give you Panadol. Here I will give you an injection. In trying to make you okay. So again, if you have this tax practitioner, open up all transactions. But we have seen some that even when they bring us on board, still they want to hide. So if you hide from a doctor, do you expect really to get the right medicine?
No.
You get the point?
Yeah.
But now, as I said, that compliance is a journey. It's a journey. Even now and then there are issues coming up. Tax looks at each and every transaction that the business does. You get the point? So the role of a tax expert, a tax practitioner, is to guide you. This transaction will bring this tax impact. This transaction will have this implication. So it cannot be a one-off. If you just hire someone a one-off and 2 years you have not engaged, just expect post-mortem costs. When URA is squeezing you, you are also calling, man, come and help out. But you realize that sometimes we can no longer, we find ourselves in a situation where we can no longer help. Because URA has against you, URA is trying to attach your products, your properties here and there. What do we do? What we can only do is engaging them and we negotiate. We say, you are demanding someone, not the other 90 million that I saw. You are demanding someone maybe 10 million, but this person is asking, can he pay it in 3 installments? Now that negotiation, we do better as tax experts because we know that actually it is one's right to ask for this. but the taxpayer may not know.
Yeah.
So, as long as there is anything that is happening between a taxpayer and the authority, then when we come in, we make the discussion easy, because we come from the technical perspective, that we engage our colleagues at URA. They are tax people, we are also tax people. We know that for us we are private, for them they are in the government. So whenever we are discussing, we make it simpler to understand one another. Now, we have seen taxpayers who have made things, can I say, they have made things worse. They want to represent themselves, but they represent themselves on matters they don't understand. Understanding your business affairs does not mean that you understand the tax implications. That is a fact.
Okay.
Now, for you, you say, let me go to your and I talk to them.
Yeah. I can convince them.
Have a meeting with these guys, and these days they take minutes. Whatever you are saying, someone is writing. Whatever you are saying, someone is writing. Even the information that will act against you, you are disclosing it there. Instead of talking to your tax expert for guidance, for you want to run to URA, which is a very big mistake that we are making. Because if
you want to bypass the cost
even if
of
you
the tax
have done
advice.
all these wrong things, if you talk to a tax expert, for example, we have a window at URA that is called voluntary disclosure. I may find you in a total mess where I'm sure that the moment URA runs on you, even the business will close. But because me, I know that there is a window for voluntary disclosure, I will say, now, let's go fast and disclose before they come. So once we go and disclose, then the penalties and interests will be waived off. You only pay the principal. That way we shall save the business. But for you, you will go there, someone will use this information, because voluntary disclosure, there is a formal way of doing it. Not when they have invited you and you start disclosing. No, as long as they have already invited you, then there is a problem that they have identified. So it's now from their end. But for voluntary disclosure, is you going to your end and say, I have made these mistakes for the last 4 years, but now I'm bringing myself on the table. But this discussion, to make it very easy for both the authority and the taxpayer, engaging this technical person makes it far, far better. Results are always good that way. Yes.
Well, there is something also that goes around, especially on the tax that is levied on the cars that people buy. Is there a way I should first talk to my tax advisor before the purchase of this particular car so that we can negotiate the tax?
That's a good one. Now, when it comes to customs on motor vehicles,
yes,
normally we have, alongside tax agents, we have also what we call clearing agents. Now, some of us tax experts, we do both. We look at both customs taxation and domestic taxation. It is very, very important that before you go for any item that you would want to bring into the country, talk to an expert, whether a clearing agent, whether a tax agent, so that you are guided. Because sometimes you may bring something that is prohibited. Yes. So it's important. There's what we call prohibited goods, there is what we call restricted goods. So it is important to discuss with an expert and say, I plan to import this and that from, say, Japan, America, or wherever. So that someone says, if you import this, one, this will be the tax implication. Oh, this one you cannot. This one cannot enter the country. You get? If, for example, you happen to just import, and these things are, you bring them here and they find they are prohibited, either you have to export them to another country, or they are burnt at your cost. Yes.
So serious.
Yes. If you bring things that are prohibited into the country, either if the government allows you to export, you take them back, or they are burnt at your cost. So why
the exporting is still at your cost?
Yes. Yes. It's like take them away from this country. So when it goes into international business, it is very, very important that it is not just about your capital. It is about having the right information as and when you need it. Can you discuss with an agent before you actually think of ordering? What are you ordering? What's the tax implication? We have different tax bands We have those where import duty is at 0. We have where import duty is at 10%. We have where import duty is at 25. There are even those where import duty is at 100 or 70%. But the important point here is, when you sit with a tax expert, he will tell you this item, when you bring it, it will pay this tax. It will pay VAT. Or this one does not pay VAT. This one will pay import duty. This one does not pay import duty. Now, what I'm explaining applies to all products, including the cars that you asked about. That as long as you want to bring motor vehicles, I can just give an example about motor vehicles. That the moment you import a car that has, when you look at the year of manufacture, is older than 10 years, there is a surcharge of 50%. It's more of a penalty. That's an old car as per the rules of Uganda today. That you are penalized for buying an old car, because that old car, the thinking behind it, they are making it expensive so that we don't run into buying old cars. So they are encouraging that they buy at least newer ones within 10 years. You get the point? So if you
so meaning if I bought a car that was manufactured in 2013, I face the penalty, the surcharge of 50%.
Yes. Yes. By the way, to add something, that today a car that is 15 years old does not enter Uganda.
15 years old?
Yes. It doesn't enter Uganda. So if you just buy and it doesn't enter, so won't you make a loss?
It's a very big one.
Yes, you make a loss. So that's why it is important for us all to discuss with technical people. You see, even when we go into medical, the medical world, you don't just need to, you feel pain, you want to go and just buy medicine. Which medicine are you buying? Now the same thing goes into all these other professions. You want to build. You don't just start building without having all these professionals do their work. So why in business, why would we want to just transact without knowing the tax implication? Yes.
Wow, I see it is a very serious thing. But now there is something you talked about. You talked about the prohibited products. But what about the restricted products? What happens to the restricted products?
For restricted products, these are products that are brought into the country after being authorized to come in. Or
who authorizes?
I'm coming to that.
Okay.
Or products which there are a few entities. If, for example, you are to look at guns, do you think each and every Ugandan has the right to import a gun? That is just as an example. Yes, that it is the government that does this. Guns are coming into the country, it is through the government. So yes, they will come, but under who? Not me and you just wait.
So I don't go to America and I find guns sold cheaply and then I say, let me buy some form.
No. That is why, even when you look at the security companies, how do they acquire guns? They have to first register with police. They have, I think, a whole department at Uganda Police that is responsible for regulating them. So they go through a process until they acquire these guns and the guns are paid for. So the government must know that this security company is taking these guns. But anyway, issues of security, that is a different area. I'm a tax person.
You're a tax person. Well, I see it is now really important, and from this discussion, I realize that it is really important that before you take any move or any step, it is important that at least there is this tax advisor who speaks in your business or who speaks to guide you in each and everything that you're doing. You know, very of recent, we have very many people who are misleading people on social media. No, you can come to China, buy these products. This is how we buy them cheaply, and I know this is how you can bypass the tax and do this and this and this. But I realize that you're digging your own grave by following that. Well, what are your closing remarks on topic today?
Now, as I conclude, one is that we can no longer dodge taxes, but we can plan to manage taxes. Two, that if you are out there and you are struggling with taxes, you have assessments, you feel like abandoning your company, my advice is just look for a professional tax person who can sit together, discuss, engage URA, clean up your company, comply, and keep using your company. Use licensed tax agents, tax professionals.
Wow, thank you so much. And I cannot add anything on that, but just to encourage you to always do the right thing. When you do the right thing, you save yourself from a lot of troubles, you save yourself from a lot of issues. And yeah, what we do here on Church of Uganda is to make sure that we give you the right information so that you can use this information and do the right thing, because you realize that there is a lot that happens out there. Everyone thinks they can do. Of recent, we have lawyers that have offices on TikTok and they keep on educating people on matters of law. So it's possible that we have tax advisors who have been registered by TikTok and been licensed by TikTok. But it is important that you get the right information so that you don't fall a victim of some of these things we have talked about for quite some time. We cannot go beyond this point. It's a Wednesday, tomorrow is a Thursday, and a Friday, Good Friday. Andrew Nelson Mukalazi is my name. I've worked with Brinko, Norman, and very many other people out there so that you have this show. And we also want to really send our regards to the entire team of Demo Consults. Yeah, we are really grateful for the work and for the commitment to come and share with our viewer out there some of these pertinent issues. Thank you so much, and from the entire team, it's a good night.